Yeah, countdown.
10,
Cats.
9,
Cats.
8,
Cats.
7,
Cats.
6,
Cats.
5,
Cats.
4,
Cats.
3,
Cats.
2.
Cats. Explosion
Of cats.
Well, I was hoping someone else would take over. I was doing the faraway countdown. People rely on me too much.
Well, you are vital, and welcome
That
everyone
means step up.
to this week's discussion on Sci-Fi on Ice. I'm refreshed, and we are going to talk about the story All Cats Are Grey by Andre Ellis North. And it's a story that's told to us secondhand by somebody else that's heard parts of the story about our protagonist called Stina, who you learn she's a very interesting character who's gifted a cat, and they find this man in a bar to go and get a prize or a ransom kind of prize, and that's the story. Yeah, and they catch the Empress, or they go in. They're on a mission to catch the Empress to get their money, their reward, and we learn some things about our characters along the way. How do you guys find this story?
It read very nicely. It was a easy read.
Mm. Yeah, it knew what it was, right? Like you knew what the story was about. There was no sort of like, what are we doing now? It was pretty clear the
Yeah,
intention.
yeah. They described everything quite nicely. You got the sense of the surroundings, like the different, well, kind of bars, kind of typical harbor pubs, like a port vibe. Yeah, it's quite descriptive.
Yeah, I liked the mix of kind of genres because you had the sci-fi, but it felt a bit like Western because they were in the bar and like a saloon, and
Mm.
then you had ghost story as well, and so there's quite a mix of genres. It wasn't just sci-fi. I quite like that.
Yeah, I did like that. It knew what it was. I mean, there were definitely some scenes in this story that I sort of felt, there was some question marks, like, was that necessary, and did it really carry the story? So it kind of complicates the story on one hand, but where, it could have been more interesting. Like the scene in the room with the gems, and then when they come back to the what do you call it, the driver's seat in the spaceship with Cliff, and that scene I kind of felt was like the way they have to explain it to Cliff, because I get it, he's not in on it, but I felt like they were trying to explain it to the reader as well, and I sort of felt, oh yeah, that was a bit, I don't know, didn't gel with me, the explaining of that, 'cause it does it a few times. Because like, and this, and then that doesn't make sense. And then it's like our Stina, she's realizing these things as well, and it's sort of like it's the author's way of telling the reader, uh, which I just found okay. It was okay, this writing, the device to tell the plot in this way, but yeah.
I thought that was all right, that conversation, because it kind of made sense because you also learned more about Stina and her background and maybe why she's a bit standoffish and not very friendly like she is in the beginning. Because in the beginning, she's made out to be like some sort of crazy sage that sits in the corner,
Mm.
um, and just, dispenses these nuggets of helpful wisdom. And then
Well,
you kind of find out that she's an outcast and she feels isolated because she doesn't see things the way that everyone else does. So I think it kind of helps understand her. and her behavior at the beginning.
And and I think that would be good if it was just a regular narrator, but the way it's told through somebody else's eyes, they've heard parts of the story, and then as they're retelling it, it's like they're learning it during it, whereas you would think that this person would have thought about these parts of the stories. Oh, I've got someone speaking to me. Let me put myself on mute for a second. I'll join you guys in a moment. Jamie,
Yeah, it was
I'll
definitely
talk to you later, okay? No,
it's a
I'll talk
different
to you later.
style of writing,
No, I'm busy.
which is, I don't know, enjoyable. It's definitely not. It doesn't feel like something that was written in the 50s.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I can see where Steven's coming from because, yeah, it changes from being third person narration to first person back and forth. But I pictured it kind of, when you're watching a TV show and it kind of drifts onto the live action because you're there, you've got your narrator, and you're like, oh, well, that's not how it actually happened. But then you start watching it as it happened. So that's what I think why maybe I just didn't even question it because so used to that narrative style because it's a TV show,
yeah,
right? They're not. It's not going to constantly be that old dude at a bar going, "Oh well, I heard a different story." You don't just stay with him the entire time. You then go to that scene that he's describing. But
Yeah, I
I
can
can see,
I
yeah,
can buy that. I
it's
I guess I just wonder like what was the purpose of that? Because I feel like when you do that, there's you're adding a mystique, so it becomes kind of like not a myth, it becomes sort of like a story that you would hear at a bar. And what do we call those stories again? Not like urban myth, those sort of things you hear about, like, oh, is it really true? Did that really happen?
yeah.
But it's
No, I
interesting,
just
yeah.
I was just saying I didn't notice it like but now you pointed it out. It's like yeah, it does transition without explanation. But I think it was just I didn't even question it because I'm so used to that that style because of
Mm,
TVs and movies and stuff. So I was just kind of like, yeah, of course they're talking to each other
yeah.
because you're kind of watching it in your head as it happens.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one thing I like that it didn't explain the whole thing about this mysterious being that, you don't see the ghost elements. Some stories feel they need to explain every element of it, like to prove that it really was a ghost and this is its origins or whatever, and it kind of leaves the mystery about it. And in the end, they catch the Empress and they're able to get their riches. And well, that's a bit by the by that they get the money at the end. It's not what we really care about as a reader. It's more of the interactions that
The
and the
journey.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the ending made much more sense than the last one,
Yep.
at least.
Yeah.
It tied up
uh,
nicely. But I liked that because like at the beginning, Cliff and Stina, they're like scrawny and they're the underdogs and they don't have much and they don't sound like they look too good. Um, and then the end with them, at a restaurant with all these riches and all this money and yeah, it's kind of like
one thing.
that's how you would imagine like the guy saying it at the bar saying well and then that's the last time I saw her it
Mm,
was just like that so it ends in the way it started at least so there's consistency there.
I like the motivation for Stina. Like she's normally passing on information about certain jobs or whatever information that's handy in space. But this time she was like, no, this is mine, and she's gonna go on this mission. So I can see her motivation. But I would have liked to have known more of Cliff's motivation. Like on one hand, at the beginning, like, oh yeah, like I'll do this job. He was a bit. How does the writer describe him? Like when he's sat down at the bar, he's a bit like, I don't know if he's frazzled, but he's a bit like, he just wants to drink like his troubles away, and then someone sits down and says, I got a job, and like that's exciting, right? But at the end, where things get a bit messed up, I'm sort of wondering like why does he care? Wouldn't he be thinking like I'm out, see ya? Why does he opt in to it? Where I think I would have liked something a bit more for him to go why he's still like in it with the team, if they can call them that.
He was about to lose everything.
Yeah,
He was about
it
to lose
was.
his ship that took them out to the Empress. It
Well,
says Cliff had fought his way up from the back courts of Veniport, lose his ship, and he slipped back there to rot.
I mean I
He
mean
was
at the
at
very
death's
end.
side instead. Well,
I,
because I think there was a romantic connection. That's what I
okay.
got. And I think that's also partly maybe why she sat down next to him, not just to help him out, but maybe she took a fancy.
Mm.
Um, but let me
Yeah, that could
see.
be that.
Yeah, and Stina had found someone who knew of her grey world and did not find it too hard to share with her someone besides Bat. It turned out to be a real love match.
That
It's actually
actually,
more explicit than
no,
I thought.
no, I take that on board, and actually, yeah, because the fact that he just throws her his blaster, I'm thinking like, who would do that in space? But no, that makes way more sense. Yeah, like you'd imagine
Yes,
in Star Wars, you'd imagine that who's the guy?
Han Solo.
Yeah, that he, like to anybody else, he wouldn't give his blaster, but he would give it to Leia, right? Like he's even though he's
Mm.
really sort of not in with the team, he's just there for the money, right? Um, and he'd be out usually in a heartbeat if things were going bad. He'd be like, "See you guys." Like it was just a job for me. But nah, that's a good point you raise. I see that now.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I
also when
mean,
it's all going down, she's there. She's taken off her space alls, um, which I had to go back and check. I went, what?
It exposes her
So it's
shoulder
also
or
kind
her,
of like,
yeah.
yeah. So she's taken off her overalls. So when he does have to give it the blaster, it's not like she's standing there threatening him. She's obviously like preoccupied and Bat's
Mm.
freaking out. So it's kind of like, okay, something's going on. And yeah, I've just got to trust this situation. I've got to trust her. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dean?
just the from the beginning when they introduce them and throughout the story, I mean, they lead to that there is a relationship between them. Maybe not romantic, but there's at least a degree of trust between them.
Mm, yeah. No, I mean they make a nice little unit at the end.
Yeah.
They're all kind of outcasts in their own ways, so you kind of find unity there.
Yeah, that kind of, I like that. Yeah, that does add a bit more. Okay, I do have one question though, and it's not like a negative. It's just something that stood out for me is that when Stina goes into the room and there's a line which said she does something that only like a woman would do, and I was thinking like, okay, but I was sort of thinking like, well, I wouldn't know. So it's just something that do you know the line I'm talking about?
Trying to
Let me
find it.
let me find it. Yeah, it's
Oh, the fifth door opened on a room which no woman could leave without further investigation.
yes,
That one?
yep. It, that one I
Yeah.
kind of thought. Yeah,
It's
can you share your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's because they're implying that because there were silks and perfume bottles on the dressing tables, and then this pile of rubies and jewels on the bed. Like
Mm,
it's all very indulgent. And like at the end, it says she was cloaked in a flame red cloak from the looms of Rigel.
mm.
Like so, I think they're trying to imply that yeah, she'd been living in grey, so she saw these pretty things, and was curious. Whereas like, yeah, I I guess if a guy saw a room full of silks and fine clothing and perfume bottles on a dressing table, you wouldn't be as intrigued as a woman because we'd go over and sniff the perfumes and touch the clothes, um, and see how nice they are.
Yep, I can definitely attest to that. There is another line which says something about like she spends about 5 minutes or something just I guess was it like just enjoying like putting on the clothes and whereas yeah I was thinking yeah as a man you'd be like oh yeah
Yeah.
no like it's all very well and good like the jewels I'll take all the diamonds and the gems like I'm happy to take all those but
Well, she doesn't, does she? Because she sees that hand, that gemmed bracelet, um, and then yeah, and then it says like she'd put down the bottle. Then she did something which perhaps few of the men she had listened to through the years could have done.
mm,
She moved without hurry or sign of disturbance on a tour about the room. Um, because I think, yeah, I just took that to be that she was trying to gauge what's going on, like what this gemmed bracelet is and whether it's a threat or not. So she was pretending to be calm and uninterested.
mm,
But I don't agree with this. Yeah, that line, few of the men she had listened to could have done. Because I think anyone could pretend to be nonchalant. Um, but it's just maybe the fact that she's in there spending that much time or could pretend to be that interested in these fine clothes and perfume bottles. Um, Maybe it's a bit more believable that she's a woman,
yeah
but
I mean
I don't get that from the story.
it got me thinking that you know just maybe not I think the woman thing is a distraction maybe it's just more, we can think more about her personality and clue maybe in the title about the grayness and her like opening up and going oh, you know what like these color things are nice and maybe I shouldn't repress myself
Yeah,
and
because
it yeah
well, she'd have to rely more on the touch and the smell, right? Because sight obviously is not helping her.
yeah
If you went into this luxurious room, the color would all be gray, as we find out.
mm,
She's relying on the scent and the touch. So again, yeah, it's not necessarily gendered, because there's plenty of women who don't care about that kind of stuff.
yeah
Um, it's more about her and her interests because of her senses. So yeah, it is a bit of a misdirect and unnecessary.
yeah like she could have done that scene without really saying like you say about the gender, just if we were focused more on her personality, I reckon that would have made it more interesting. And there's also this is we can assume this is the Empress's room, right? This is where, although is it what is it? It's a what do they describe this ship as? Like a not a luxury ship, like a part not a party ship, something like
Like a cruise ship, like almost like a Titanic.
yeah yeah
Yeah, I
yes.
think the ship is just called the Empress of Mars.
But there's an adjective or something
This
that's
cruise. I don't think that actually there was an empress on board. Is my point. It was just a luxury cruise liner. That's yeah, because it says her her lengthy cruise, something like that.
well they do capture her, but
Hmm.
but then the focus is more on the shadowy, ghosty thing, and then because they focus more on that, and then at the end they go, and then they took the Empress to get their reward at the
Yeah, the
end.
ship.
Mm,
No, this. I mean, the room could have belonged to anyone with money. But yeah, they obviously did have money. Whoever was staying there when it was still people.
mm.
Um, because yeah, there were so many luxurious things there. I think yeah, if maybe that had been made clearer, that she went and like wanted to feel the things and go and smell what's on the dressing table and be physically more up close to the things rather than just saying like she's a woman, she likes shiny stuff.
Yeah, like go figure, but
Yeah,
without
I
with
mean, other people had also tried to claim this derelict ship before, and
Mm.
that's probably why they died, is because they just went straight for gems and grabbed it, and then that whatever that thing is killed them.
oh
Yeah, or they went straight to where like Cliff went to the main control, and the ghost thing comes up behind them, right?
Yeah.
They're unawares.
Mm.
Because when they said she went into the room that no, like men wouldn't usually explore so in depth. Um, like that's how she first figures out that it's this ethereal ghost-like being, and it's really just because of the cat that she even knows that. So maybe if the man had had a cat, he would have been able to get it.
That's a good reason to get a cat.
Yeah, keeps the ghosts at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the gender stuff, the divide, now that we kind of pointed out, like it is quite unnecessary. It's not about her being in her like a woman. It's
Yeah.
about her and her relationship with the cat and her lack of vision.
Yeah, I kind of like it's a small thing, but because I still enjoyed that passage, but I just sort of thought, oh yeah, it was just unnecessary to write it like that, and maybe I don't know, maybe there's a reason for that, but yeah, for me, I would prefer it more on the character, on the personality than it being, and especially we're talking about the future and space, and so I mean you know it's stereotypes in space. I don't know if they still work out. I don't know what they are in
Mm.
space, to be honest.
Well, even like, well, not so much in the near future, like those lines are getting blurrier. Stereotypes are not accurate anymore. So I can only imagine it would be more so
Yep.
in another 1,000 or 10,000 years if we're still around.
We have a funny way of hanging about, don't we? But
Yeah,
it's
not
Yeah.
really burn anything. But anyway, no, it's definitely more about her as a character, her and Bat
mm,
figuring out this puzzle, getting rid of the ghost, and then the three of them able to take it in. Because yeah, it sounds like without Cliff, he was the one that managed to get the ship working, and then back to the dock or scrapyard or wherever it went.
yeah.
They definitely needed each other in order to get this done. Yeah,
I've got a question.
yeah,
What
a little bit more about that would have been good.
what is vernal juice? The
I
bat
think it's
bat
just a
drink.
type of juice
Yeah, space juice, I guess, for
because they
cats.
say like the looms of Rigel and Jovan rubies. I
Would you?
think it's just like the author is dropping these names like we would say like Turkish delights or
Mm,
Chinese tea, um, and we know that those places are known for certain things, and so without having to explain, because this person is just telling a story to people around him, he knows like he doesn't need to explain that things made in Rigel. Oh yeah, that's top quality.
yeah, we're gonna have, what is it? The Planet Jovan Delights. Planet Jovan Delights. Better than Planet Mars Delights. No?
Yeah, I think it was just I quite like that they just dropped those kind of adjectives without explanation because otherwise it'd be like he was talking down to his peers.
Yeah, and another thing is, I did find, at first I found it difficult, but I warmed to it, was the idea of cats in space. There's a reaction to me that is just like, well, we're not going to bring pets into space. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh no, we definitely will bring pets to space, knowing us. So then and once I accepted that, the story was more enjoyable. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Animals have gone into space before people have.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I just guess it's just I'm not used to reading about people and their pets in space, so it was good. I did like it. Yeah. But at first it was like, oh, what? you know, just thought is it the author just loves cats so much? It's like, and they're gonna inject a cat into it, but it works out quite nicely for the plot. So there we go. But no, it ended up being much better than I thought. So that was nice.
Okay.
So, anything anything more to add, or have we done it?
I
Dean,
think we're good.
Ding.
we're good. All right.
Yeah, it was a pleasant story.
With ghosts, any? Okay, maybe here's the last topic. The ghosts. We talked about it a bit at the beginning, but and then we did talk about it being sort of the haunted element of the ship, and where other people tried to get the ship, but they failed, and but our characters they succeeded. So no, I think we've covered that enough. So we can move on to scores. All right, we're doing it. Okay, who's first?
Well, I'll go last because I chose it.
All right.
So like,
I can go first. So my score for the story is gonna be 250 on the nose.
250. All right. Let me get your score up. Where are we? Dean's score. Oh, what? Have I saved it? Dum 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 dum. Maybe I need to do something else. I'm not sure. Let's see if this works. Dean's score. Oh, it is up. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Dean. Yeah. So I'll go next. I did like this story, but when we discussed it, I found that some of the gaps or the questions I had were answered nicely, and it helped my understanding of the story. Thanks for the support, guys. So I am gonna give this a score of 342. Yeah.
342.
see, yeah, I quite liked it. It was easy read, like Dean said, and I liked the variety of the genres. Like it wasn't just space; it was ghost, and like the characters were, I think, quite clear. But yeah, I mean, the gender thing is just the only real question mark for me, because yeah, it's unnecessary to kind of ram it down to like gender stereotypes. But I'm going to go higher than you both, and not just because I chose it, but I chose the number before Dean said anything. I'm going to say 377.
All right. 377. Let's see if I can get the score up. Yeah, I got it up. Okay. Fantastic. We've got our score. So we all read All Cats Are Grey by Andre Alice North. And let's see what our score average is with some instrumentational trumpets. 323.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Alright, let's see where it rates. Is it better than last week's average? Daughters of the Moon had an average of 106.
I
Oh,
wonder.
it's way better. Alright, let's go up the it's better than oh, we're going up pretty high. Okay, it's actually it's not that high. It's above Nightfall, which had 316, and it's below our very first. Remember the very first story we read? That was 349. The
Oh
moral
wow.
the moral virologist. it's kind of
Mm,
it's hard. It's
yeah,
hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good story, but there, yeah, I think just a couple of indiscrepancies, maybe. But I think that makes sense.
I mean, it's 3 times better than last week's story. Um,
3 times better than that LCD trip. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was an interesting discussion, and no, I did like some of the things that we talked about, and it
Yeah.
illuminated some aspects of the story for me. So I like that. That's why we do this, isn't it? But there we go. And what's our top score? Let's keep going. How many are above it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, nobody lives on Burden Street. It's almost 400. Yeah, we might have to revise that score. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stories are above it. Okay, so it's and we've
I
done
think Burning
24.
Chrome is still number one.
Yeah, I mean it's always going to be number one. There's no way we can do better than Burning Chrome.
Yeah.
uh,
You'll have to read it at some stage, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll mention
uh,
it.
should come in with a burning torch to burn the score. Just, no.
I give it a 1.
Yeah, no, I think after a certain point, we should do like a joint best and worst
Mm.
and do a comparison.
Yep. I think that sounds good, and I mean we're always going to do better than Daughters of the Moon. That
Yeah,
story.
okay, well, second worst.
Which
Uh,
publication was it? Uh, Submitted it or not submitted it? Published it because
The
Isn't
New
it the
Yorker.
New Yorker? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it said New-
we have no respect for the New Yorker, don't we? And well,
Nah, it's bog paper now.
Now, also the first one, like the first story we read, we should redo that one now that we've, after a certain point.
yeah,
You said we've done 24, so next
yeah,
week would be the 25th.
that's right. It's a kind of a milestone, quarter of a century. It's you know,
Well, shall we reread the first story then? Now that we're more informed.
yeah. I can. I'll share with you guys the moral virologist tomorrow, and we can do that next week.
Yeah, you all right with that, Dean, or did you want to do a different story?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I quite
And then
quite
if we
enjoyed
make it to
it.
50, we'll reread Burning Chrome.
Ooh,
Oh.
can't wait. Great story. Who suggested
It's
that idea?
amazing.
This is the first week I haven't even finished my whiskey, and we're done. Damn it. Well, that's okay. Anyway,
I'm gonna go have one.
well, pleasure as always, guys, and we'll read the Moral Virologist again. Do we remember where this guy's from? The author, Greg
Uh,
Egan.
was he Australian?
He was, mate. That's
That
what
set a trend for a while.
we forgot about it, didn't we? The old "Where's the author from?" Well, when most of them are from America, it gets a bit boring. So
We've had some variety. We've had some Italians, some
writing about
Canadians.
America,
We've
can
had
yes.
Americans. We've had Brits. We've had convicts. We've had.
Oh, that nationality of convict. What a wonderful
Uh,
country. Yeah. All right. I'll talk next week. And discuss the moral virologist. Great.
Yes. All right. Fantastic talking to you guys. See you guys next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was an epic
All the
sign
best.
off. All right. See you guys. Oh, Dean, we'll catch up for drink. Have your beer.
Yeah. I'll chat to you tomorrow.
All right. All right, take it easy,
Cool.
guys. See ya.
Cheers, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.